Hello everyone in the Your Home family. Today we're going to do an introduction for our newest CNC router, the CrossRiver. Also going to do a little bit of a comparison to its predecessor, the SilverBack over here, so we can point out the differences between these two machines. You've probably seen the ads now for the CrossRiver, and an email went out just recently that they're now in stock. We have them here in the US warehouse ready to ship out next day. But we've also had some questions about what makes this machine different, what makes it better for the end user. So that's where I want to talk about some of the features that are now on the CrossRiver as they compared to the SilverBack. The first thing you'll notice, if you look at these two machines here side by side, there's a significant size difference between them. The work area, identical. It's the same 60 by 60 centimeter, approximately 24 inches square, but we now have a greater clearance on our Z, and overall height is much higher. We have increased travel on the Z axis along with that to make sure that we have taken care of some of the shortcomings that the SilverBack had with clearance. Let me go through some of the key things here. Frame thickness. We're talking about rigidity and stability on the machine. On the SilverBack, all of our plates were 5 millimeters thick. On the CrossRiver, our front and rear plates are now 8 millimeters thick, and our X-gantry support plates are 13.5 millimeters thick. So we've got a much more rigid machine now, much more stable for your carving. We've gone away from the old lead screws that the SilverBack had, and now we're going to proper Acme ball screws. We're going to increase our speed and our accuracy with that change right there. SilverBack, we had rollers in place that rode on top of the rails here. We've now gone to linear rail on all three axes. These stay cleaner, they don't get the buildup that the rollers will, and they're also going to give us greater accuracy and smoother movement. Driving each axis, we're now using closed loop stepper motors. These stepper motors get a signal from the controller just like all of our other machines have done, but they have a dedicated 24 volts going right to the motor as well. They also have the encoder inside that tells the motor how many turns it's actually made. So if it were to jam up, it doesn't just lose steps. So lost steps during motion, a lot harder to come by with a closed loop stepper. Another change that we made, people were having issues with the limit switches on the SilverBack. These were mechanical switches. Especially if you were doing your setup in easel, you probably noticed that it says when you're testing your wiring, limit switches are disabled. We've seen some issues where the switches can be damaged during that phase because they would be allowed to drive against the stop and damage those switches. The CrossRiver has done away with those mechanical limit switches. We still have all the limits, but now they're a magnetic proximity switch. There is no contact. Once that switch passes over this little lug right here, that's what triggers our limit. So no more physical contact there, giving you a much smoother, less likely to get damaged situation. We've also now, on the Y-axis, enclosed both of the lead screws. We've got this rubber seal here that will close up as the gantry passes. This is to help prevent dust buildup in the lead screws. For the X lead screw, it's behind this cover. That will help deflect a lot of it. The cover is open at the bottom, so any dust that does happen to get in there will be allowed to fall right through. It won't collect and build up inside there. We have made changes to the spoil board. This SilverBack here has the hybrid bed on it, which is the aluminum extrusion with the MDF inserts. That was an added accessory with the SilverBack that is included with the CrossRiver. So you don't have to purchase that separately. Comes right in the box with the machine. Manual adjustments. On the SilverBack, to manually adjust your Y-axis, you had to be at the rear of the machine. On the CrossRiver, those adjustments are now out here on the front, so it's a lot easier to access. To back up just one moment, our hybrid bed also includes additional supporting underneath the bed. There's a H-shaped support structure underneath there. That way you don't get any sagging. It's not as susceptible with the aluminum extrusions, the way they interlock, but we added that extra in there based on customer feedback. That's the sort of thing people were looking for. One other feature that we brought in that was a big request from people that wanted to add the laser to their CNC machine. We didn't have a laser cable that was long enough to go through all the drag chain on the SilverBack, so you had to come find some other means of routing your laser cable, and that was always really inconvenient. With the CrossRiver, that cable is now included in the harness, so you're ready to attach your laser, and it's connected right to the rear of the controller as well. Another thing that we have done, you'll notice that the Z-axis here is a lot different. This mounting plate on the front gives us a lot more options and flexibility. It comes with the standard mount for our 52mm 500 watt spindle. That's included with the machine. Also included with the machine are some additional mount options that will come in very handy for a lot of users. By simply removing this spindle mount, you can install this additional mount. This is to accommodate an 80mm spindle. That will allow mounting of the VFD kit, which I'm going to talk about here in just a moment, without needing to buy additional bracketry. Along with that 80mm bracket, you'll get two adapter rings. We have a 65mm adapter ring. That's to fit the Makita router, which was the same option you had over there on the SilverBack. But we've also included a 69mm adapter ring. This is for those people that have the DeWalt routers. There are other brands that also fit those two sizes. I know Bosch routers have been asked about. I believe those are unfortunately about a 70-71mm. We do not have an adapter ring for those. We went with the two most common in the CNC world, and that's the Makita and the DeWalt routers. The CrossRiver will also come with an adapter plate that is designed for laser mounting of any of our diode lasers. That's where our new Z-axis travel comes into play. That was a concern that was raised with the SilverBack, is even with the Z-axis at its lowest position, if you were using the Makita router or the lasers, you simply couldn't get all the way down to the work surface. With the CrossRiver, we've got considerably more travel now. You can see right here, right now, I've got this spindle maybe 2 inches above the work surface, but I've got nearly 3.5–4 inches of travel left on my Z-axis. So we can definitely bring it a lot further down, getting you closer to your work surface. No more having to block things up, raise your workpiece up, add spacers under it. We know that was a pain point for a lot of people, so we wanted to address that as well. With the advent of the ball screws and these closed loop stepper motors, we're also looking at considerably faster carve speeds with this machine. By default, we have it set to a maximum of 5,000 millimeters per minute. In testing, I know we reached upwards of 7,000 millimeters a minute before we ran into any potential signal loss. Now, of course, that's going to be limited by your bit and your material. Obviously, you're not going to be able to carve at 5,000 millimeters a minute with a 3/4 inch bit, 3/8 of an inch deep. You're going to struggle with that. but you will be able to move a lot faster with this machine. I mentioned a little bit ago the VFD system. Just wanted to touch on that. That is a new offering that we have. It's actually available for both these machines. The CrossRiver, as I mentioned, comes with the mount. If you order the VFD kit for your SilverBack, you will actually get a very similar mount. It comes with a couple of extra pieces to adapt this mount to the Z-axis of the SilverBack. Your VFD kit now includes the variable frequency spindle motor. This operates at 110 volts. Obviously the frequency is varied to give you your speed control. It's at 0 to 400 hertz, maximum of 24,000 RPM. This is equivalent to a 1.5 kilowatt spindle. So where we're going from a 500 watt, this is now a 1500 watt. We're at about 2.2 horsepower with this is the consistent rating on it. This kit comes with the spindle, the cable connection, all of your tubing, the water pump, because this is a water-cooled spindle, and a standalone speed controller with the VFD control right here. Unfortunately, we don't have it tied directly to the controller. It is still going to be manual control, but you have much more finite speed control over the VFD. As I mentioned, this kit comes with everything you need with the exception of some sort of water reservoir and the water to put in it. I've got our demo unit here set up with just a 5-gallon bucket using distilled water available at any grocery store. So not a lot of problem for the average person to obtain those items as well. That covers the basics of the CrossRiver. We've compared it to the SilverBack as well. If you have any questions, by all means, please feel free to give us a call. You can reach our customer service line at 833-541-5997 or email us anytime at support@yorahome.com, and we will be more than happy to answer any of your questions or even set up a virtual demo for you where we can sit here on a video call and walk through the machine and even show you a project demonstration at your convenience. Thank you and have a great day.
Jungle.